Welcome, I'm Datcoopguy, and today we're going to be taking a quick look into Diablo 4. So bring a cloth, wipe off that blood off your armor, wear your best fireproof gear as we journey to hell and back. So let's take a dive into the classes here. So the first one we have is the Barbarian, a rage-filled melee fighter. The second is the Druid, a hybrid melee range fighter with lots of shape-shifting abilities. The next is the good old Rogue, which is a dexterous fighter with lots of dodge and weapon swapping in between. Next is the Sorcerer, a mage that uses lots of its different magic to powerhouse through tons of enemies. And lastly, the Necromancer, a pet-based class with lots of dark magic and blood ritual. Character creation is one of the biggest features that Diablo 4 has added, where you get to customize your character with its hair, its skin, its eye color, and everything else out there. I definitely enjoyed this as it really got to make it to where every character was a lot more unique instead of having to deal with just being the default characters in the previous games, which was very awesome to see. However, I do believe that they should have added a bit more hairstyles, a little bit more customization, though there is a good amount that you will be satisfied and happy, especially with all the tattoos and different eye colors and skin colors in the mix. Speaking of character creation, another great thing is that your character is actually in the cutscenes, and they look good and polished with lots of their unique animations. It was a welcome addition to adding the character in there. I think it was very much well done, and I loved seeing my character on the screen in these important moments, rather than just standing from afar or not even being involved in them. So, very good addition on Blizzard to add the characters into the cutscenes. Definitely enjoyed that dearly. Now let's talk about combat. Combat feels very fluid with lots of different abilities and things in the mix that you can do. Enemies were overall, in the beginning they're kind of slash and go, but as you get more and more deeper into the game, you really have to think and kind of plan out which enemies do I want to focus on attacking, which one should I watch out for, and it does add a good mix as you go on throughout the game, especially when you start getting into the elites and the dungeons and a lot of the other big fights in there. Overall, feels very fluid. It's got that Diablo polish. It definitely stands out compared to most games, and every ability felt very fluid and felt good when you hit it, which is very important in a game to make sure that your characters feel good when you're hitting things. So important, so many games miss this, and it's good to see that they stuck to their guns and kept that good Diablo polish in there. Next, let's get into the boss fights. Boss fights felt very unique and full of mechanics and telegraphs that really showed you what was going on the screen, and you didn't have to do any real guessing. You could definitely see that almost everything is telegraphed, but not exactly in an easy way, but more of like a, okay, I got hit by that, but I know like when this animation happens, what to do. And I thought that was very awesome to see that. Now, however, the only issue that I have is that I see that range seems to have a much easier time fighting bosses than melee for at least a large portion of the game that I have played, so hopefully there can be a little bit of class balancing in the mix there. But overall, boss fights felt good, they felt unique, and I definitely enjoyed them. Speaking of customizing your character and getting really in-depth into the abilities, let's talk about the talent tree, which in reality gives a bunch of in-depth, cool combos and a lot of individuality of how you want to build your character. Also on top of it, as you put points into your skills, not only do they become more powerful, but you can also get augments on top of them, making it to where they're more powerful and they have a unique synergy or ability or twist to them, which makes it to where as you get up into higher levels, you can really get in depth and kind of build your character how you like it. On top of that, later on, there's going to be a max level Paragon system, which is making it to where you can even advance them even farther beyond what you see just on the initial talent screen tree. I definitely enjoyed it, and I think that this was a really good change as it made it to where it's not just a few little combos, there's actually many different combinations and many different things that you can build your character and to keep things fresh so that your character has not just 2 or 3 different builds, but many different builds that you can look at in the future. Alright, let's talk about the big thing with Diablo though, the overall world map and its vast amounts of dungeons, caves, and other collectible things that you can do along the way. So, on your map, you'll have different regions with different dungeons and caves and what are known as altars of Lilith. Basically, in short, altars of Lilith, you collect them and it makes it to where all your characters are powered up. Not just your main character that you're playing on, but all of your characters that you create on that server there. Now, another thing that's really nice is that these dungeons give rewards that help out with powering up into making other legendary items and things along the way. There's also lots of side quests and class quests later on as well. It seems to me that Diablo really went out of their way to make sure that there's tons of content besides just the main story, and that's so important as it gives replayability. It gives us more than just busting for the story and being done with the game. There's a lot more in-depth this time around to where you can sink hours and hours into the game and be overall happy. In conclusion, overall, I gotta say the gameplay loop feels great. It has a vast amount of content, and overall amazing polish on its cutscenes and character building, and the story is really good. I tried my best to avoid any spoilers in this review. The only issues I gotta say is class balance and a little bit of RNG, as the others might be luckier and you might end up getting certain items that don't really fit with your build. But other than that, I really can't complain about this game. I think that they did a really good job and really good overall work polishing it out. I highly recommend you guys check this out in this rapid fire review. I will try to get a more in-depth guide later on, maybe do some class guides, maybe do a little bit more. But in the meantime, I thank you guys for watching, and be sure to check out my other content in the future. Hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time.